Welcome to another episode of Dying with Diabetes in America. I am Michelle, your host, and I am here with my guest tonight, Brooke. Brooke, say hello to the viewers.
Hi, how are you all?
But it's great to have you on. We met through the Dead Pancreas Society on Facebook.
We
Uh,
did, yes.
And I mean, the little bit that you and I have talked, you have a really kind of crazy story. I
I
mean,
do.
I that's why one of the reasons why I really love having this show is because, it's so much fun and we get to spread everybody's stories. And
Right.
so where are you coming to us from
I
first?
am in Griswold, Connecticut, and we just got hammered with snow
Ooh.
again. So
I
we
was gonna
have about 4 feet of snow currently out there. So yeah, we're getting hit hard.
Oh my goodness, I can't
Yeah,
even. I haven't been around snow since I was very, very young. I used to
I
live
love
up
it.
north. And
Uh,
I love the beautiful, the first fall of snow, and it just glistens on everything, and it looks like a fairy tale almost. I'm not a huge fan when it becomes that slush, like that.
yeah, it's kind of dirty.
Yeah, like the
Yeah.
wrong kind of snow cones going
Yeah,
on.
exactly. Yes.
Never fun. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, so I mean, I've been watching the weather reports, and I'm so sorry.
I love
Like you're
snow,
getting
so it's all good. I'm a snow girl.
It's
Keep it
funny because
coming.
miss the seasons most of all. I miss, having fall and then
Right.
winter and all that. I think it's beautiful. But I'm not gonna lie, like 2 days ago I was in Fort Myers Beach. Um
Yeah. Oh.
and white sand beaches.
Oh, that's
Like
amazing.
and it's so much nicer than my coast, though. Like, I did not know how nice these beaches could be.
Oh.
I'm with these trash beaches, and it was very, wow. I'd never been to that beach before. And the water was the crystal clear water
Oh,
and
sounds beautiful.
powder white sand. It was like being back in Hawaii. I went to Hawaii for like a week when I was
Oh,
very young.
nice.
And yeah, no, it was beautiful, but it's the only ocean I would go into because I'm not going to lie, like something on the ocean wants to murder me.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I know it. I know that's exactly what's happening. There's no other way to put it. It's just I go into the ocean, something's gonna eat me. Don't know what it
I hear that, but I
so
still don't
it's
mind.
pretty.
Just if I don't have to touch the bottom, I'm okay.
Yeah, touching the bottom is the creepiest thing ever
Yeah.
when you get in there, I'm
Right?
fine when you're walking in and it's like, "Oh, it's still all cute," but once that water gets past a certain height, I don't need anything like touching my feet. Ugh.
Yes, I can't.
Mm-mm.
I agree.
I used to think quicksand was going to be like a huge problem for us as we
Really?
grew up, and now I know no, it's just seaweed in the bottom of the ocean floor, just
That's
creepily,
hilarious.
creepily touching our toes. I'm not awesome
Just to
with
freak
that.
you out.
Exactly, it's the sea creature down there. I
Yes.
watched Swamp Monster and Swamp Thing and the thing. Yeah, no, no, it's evil.
Yes.
So, all right. So, tell us at what age were you diagnosed?
Okay, so I have kind of a complicated story,
Okay.
and it's a very long story because I my doctors believe that I started with diabetes when I was a juvenile, probably in middle school, but I
Okay.
was not officially diagnosed with it until I had my first daughter. When she was born in 1994, I was officially dosed with gestational. I had
Okay.
her, and they checked me and they said it went away. So they still called it gestational. I was still having issues. Um, After having her, I tried numerous times to have other kids, and
Yeah.
we would, nobody caught the diabetes. It was always, if there was a miscarriage, it's, oh, well, we're not sure what it's from. Well, I know what it's from. And it was
Yeah.
from the undiagnosed diabetes. So it wasn't until the year before I had my last son that I was actually
Mhm.
diagnosed with diabetes in 2000. But that was type 2. So they misdiagnosed me in
Again,
2000.
so they
Again.
misdiagnosed you twice. They
Yes.
misdiagnosed you the first time with gestational, not
Right.
realizing once you gave birth, because like once you gave birth to your daughter, did your I mean, did your sugars finally like normal out
They
or
they did, and all of the testing I did showed that they had normaled out, but nobody
okay.
followed me. Nobody, knew what was
I
going
mean,
on, and I
you could have
started
been
having
having a
issues.
honeymoon period.
Right. So nobody figured anything out. I wasn't diagnosed type 1 until probably about 5 or 6 years ago. So I have
What? From
always.
2000 when you finally
Yes.
got the diagnosis for type 2. And
Yes.
holy crap.
Yeah, it was brutal, and there was a lot of stuff that happened in between. I mean, this has ravaged my body. I have neuropathy, I have
Right.
gastroparesis, and doctors back then didn't know, nor did they really care. I mean, I was in and out of the hospital, and they just didn't pick up on it, and nobody understands the repercussions from uncontrolled diabetes.
But I mean,
And
it's a lab test. That's
right,
like legit all they have to do is they just have to say, "Oh, okay. Let's check your C peptide."
right.
Oh, look, it's not there.
Yeah, they
I
never did it, and I didn't know how to advocate for myself, and I didn't know anybody with the disease, no family history, so I was kinda left in the dark, and that was the other thing, my family history, I was adopted by my stepdad, so I had
okay.
no family history on my
Yours.
biological dad's side to even go on, so there was no history of diabetes, they never even thought to look into it at all.
Ah,
Yeah. It's crazy. It's been a roller coaster and a really long journey, probably up until probably about 5 years ago, and that's when I got the pump and the new
right.
endo and the CGM, and I'm telling you, life has changed and been amazing for me since this technology has entered my life, for
I
me and my family.
I mean, but that's 15 years.
Yes.
15 years of the wrong diagnoses.
And the wrong medications. I was on metformin. I was on, I don't even know, Jardians. I mean, I was on all of the type 2 diabetes medications for 15 years and it didn't help. And the doctors were upset with me because I wasn't controlling my blood sugars and doing what I was supposed to be doing, but I wasn't eating carbs. I mean, I was not eating. They had it all wrong. They had the
No,
entire time it was all wrong.
what kills me is you are not the first guest I've had on who
No.
has been misdiagnosed
Right.
and mistreated, not mistreated. I mean, no, obviously they weren't super nice to you as they're telling you to eat better. And I don't know about you, but many others, they're telling them to lose weight. And it's just
Yes.
that constant fight with them of like, uh, I mean,
Right.
I don't understand how they can get away with it. I don't understand if they, have to do certain blood tests every time on normal people, to just
Right.
check how they're doing. How is this not how is this not a test?
For 15 or 20
I
years.
I mean, yeah, I just I I can't wrap my brain around that. I have such a hard time. I lucked out. I was totally lucky. My best friend back in the day, her younger brother was a type 1 diabetic. So her
Oh,
mom saw
okay.
me and noticed the odd, no eating habits because I wasn't eating back then.
Right? Yep.
Not with the high blood sugars and
Yep.
drinking a bunch of water. And she's the one that said, told my mom, "Hey, go to Walgreens or whatever, pick up the pea on the
Yes.
sticks."
Yes.
And It was a very bad color. That's all I really
That's
remember.
scary.
But, I mean, yours shit, how I can't even imagine how hard that must have made your life.
Um, I honestly I don't know how I raised my children. I really don't. I don't know how I drove them in cars because I my blood sugars were so high. I was so out of it, but I was trying to function as a mom and I just that whole part of my life and as far as the kids are concerned, their mom was just absent. And that's what hurts the most is that
That's
this
awful.
disease, it doesn't just affect us diabetics, it's an
Yeah,
entire family disease.
yeah.
And it is awful when your kids find you unresponsive or, I mean, it's you don't think about any of that stuff and it's terrible. It's terrible for everybody.
I mean, it really, really is. I can't, like I said, I can't imagine going so long and not knowing the reason.
Right.
That had to be horrifying because, I mean, you look around at other people and it's like, well, you don't feel like this.
Right.
So why do I? And how many kids do you have, if you don't mind me asking?
I had 7 pregnancies and I have 2 live babies. And they have, like I said, I mean, I don't know, it was just a miscarriage or whatever. And I don't believe it. And my son, when I got pregnant with him, they didn't think
Mhm,
I'd be able to have any more kids. So we tried right away, got pregnant right away. And my
mhm.
doctor said, it's immediately when you find out, the moment you know, call me because I'm admitting you into the hospital and we are going to regulate your sugars. And I never had an issue. I mean, he was 10 over 10 pounds, but my whole pregnancy was great,
Yeah.
So I really think that it had to do with the sugars, but
No,
you know,
I mean, definitely. And that's the saddest, and I can't say definitely because I'm not a medical doctor, but I can say that everything that I have read, spoken with others about, and I'm so sorry because that is so unfair. Not only
yeah,
is are those lost lives stolen,
yep,
but your health, your state of mind,
absolutely.
I
That's not
mean,
easy. Yeah.
I I can't ugh. So, you were talking about some of the complications that you have,
Yes. Yep.
and you started with neuropathy, which is the nerve pain. Are you
Yes.
experiencing that in your limbs, or is it
Yes. So I have the neuropathy in both my legs and my arms.
Mhm.
Um, they've done some surgery in both my arms actually this past February to try to alleviate some of the pain, which has helped a little bit. They also, this is really odd, but my
Mm.
neurologist is amazing, and he asked me one day if I wanted Botox, and I was like, "Yes, I would love Botox." And he said, "No, we're going to inject it into your legs. It's a new treatment for neuropathy in your legs. They inject it into your nerve
Okay.
endings." It worked amazing, but then COVID hit, so I haven't been able to go back.
Mm.
But it was weird, but it's one of the side effects. And if you don't have a
Yeah.
doctor who is supportive or is new and up and all of the
Mhm.
information and education, then you don't know how to advocate for yourself. And there's so many, which is
Mhm.
why I love Dead Pancreas Society, because it's been such a support to know that
Yeah.
somebody else just ripped their cord out, their pump out, or their tubing, and somebody else's
Ugh.
alarm just went off because they ran out of insulin. So
Mhm. Everybody in the pre-COVID days, everybody in the movie theater, everybody in the wherever are looking at you because you're the asshole that's
right.
peeping, and you're just like, "No, sorry, it's my blood
I
sugar."
know. I know.
I'm glad you found something to help with the neuropathy. I've just started
Yes.
with that, and I'm not a fan. Not a fan at all. Like,
Really? Oh, it's so difficult, but at least you have different options. Hopefully now you can go down the Botox road.
I know. Who knew? Like,
Right?
go
Yeah.
ahead and get. It's. I know that a lot of times injections and things like that are the only things that we can do to help. It's still like, more
It
injections.
so
Come
is.
on,
Well,
tell
I
me.
know. It's like there's self-driving cars and the technology today, but we're still doing this. You know,
Exactly.
it's funny because I have, and that's the other thing, like, it doesn't even affect just your family. One of my friends is hooked up to my numbers because if my husband is working or not around, like, she'll remind me.
Yeah.
It's nice to be held accountable. Sometimes not
Yes.
so much, but
I
it's nice
mean,
to be
there's
held
sometimes where you're
accountable.
like, it's just disconnected.
Right.
I don't know
I
what's
know.
happening. I really,
So
really, really wanted that chocolate.
I I know. Shh, we won't go there. Oh, so I have a funny story in
Mhm.
my daughter when I was pregnant with her and I was going to Lamaze classes and newly diabetic and having to shoot myself up with the needles and it was awful. I stayed in that room. I went to Women and Infants in Providence, Rhode Island, and I will never forget the moments I spent in this hospital. It was hours. All of the other patients and pregnant moms were gone, and I'm still sitting there trying to get this one little tiny needle in just to practice. And it was awful. And I just cried and I cried. And it was so terrible. But after that, it wasn't for me anymore. Like I had to do this for my baby. So
Yeah.
you don't get a choice sometimes whether or not you want to do it. And I don't even know if I was diagnosed in elementary or high school. I probably wouldn't have taken care of it like I do now,
It's
but I should have
hard.
had the opportunity.
Right. No, I mean, you were denied the opportunity to say piss off. And,
Right.
because
Yes.
I'm not going to lie, diagnosed at 16, I did not take the best care. I didn't take the
Right.
level of care of myself that I do now.
But
But
you don't know any better
yeah,
because,
I mean, you do, but it's just it was like smoking cigarettes back in the day. Well, just
right.
because they
Yes.
make commercials and so that's not going to be me,
Yes.
and you're stupid about it. And I mean, I get
Right.
it. That's how we
Definitely.
convince ourselves. But
Yes.
I think that the technology today has come to the point that I mean, I am impressed sometimes. And on the other
Yes.
hand, we are what? We're 2 tiers above when they graduated from not using, like, the reusable needles and having
Right.
the disposable. Like, we're
Right.
not really past that
I
yet.
no, we're not. It's almost ancient.
It
And
is.
it's embarrassing because big pharmas are getting so rich off of the stuff that we need
Yes.
that, it's not like it's a make me feel good pill. This is our life. We don't have a
Right.
choice not to take or pay for insulin.
Exactly.
And
It's not like, "Oh, you can eat less." Well,
right,
no.
yes. I love that. Oh, well, don't, if you don't eat, then you don't have to bolus. That's not how it works because I'm at 60 units a day, whether I eat or not eat. So it
Well,
doesn't
it
matter.
doesn't matter, but that's mainly because our bodies they produces glucose. Our livers produce glucose on
Right,
an all the time basis to give our bodies energy.
right.
So whereas normal people, yeah, no, it's so nice to have a pancreas that works and dispenses
Yes,
that insulin, but
right,
like we could not eat all day and our blood sugar we would still go into DKA
right.
because our glucose and DKA, again, for viewers who don't know by now, but
Yeah.
diabetic ketoacidosis
Yes.
is death, diabetic death is really
That's
close to where it is.
what you say, the DKA, and it was not until I
Hmm.
joined this group that I knew what DKA was.
Really?
I had I have a feeling I had been in DKA before, but it wasn't
Mm.
a diagnosed DKA. It was, "Oh, here comes this lady again. It doesn't feel good." It's
Yeah.
they never checked my sugars
And see,
ever,
like,
ever.
and I mean, maybe it's because, I like you go in the door and it automatically says type 1. And so, but I look around and I'm like, how again are you not? It takes 2 seconds to check somebody's
I
sugar.
know. I
Like,
know.
literally a teeny tiny drop of blood just to be like, "Oh, you
Right.
had that coffee from McDonald's. You can't do no
Right.
laps right now," sort of thing. I it
Yep.
For normal people, for diabetics, it should be just like taking somebody's pulse, taking somebody's blood pressure, should be taking their
Absolutely.
glucose.
Yes.
I mean,
Yep.
stupid that it's not. And
Yes.
it could, I mean, if you had gone into your doctor, they had tested your blood sugar and it had come up 400 or up, somebody would have been like, oh shit,
Right.
okay.
Yes. And
I
you
just,
speaking of
ugh.
pricking fingers, my kids probably hated me growing up because I was constantly following them like, "Are you tired? Are you thirsty? Let me check your
Yep.
sugar." It got to the point where my son, when he had friends come over, would be like, "Mom, where's your pricker? I want to check everybody's blood sugar." And I was like,
Mhm.
so yeah,
Well,
it's
it's the only time I would change the Lancet.
I know, right?
But I
See,
mean, it's
this
one
is
of those real
that's
things.
the group makes all of this normal for me. The
Mhm.
Lancets, I didn't know I wasn't the only one changing Lancets. Like all of
Oh my
this,
god.
it just, it's so amazing because even though your spouse or your, partner or somebody living with
Mhm.
you, a sibling can help you and they
Yeah.
know you inside out, they don't know what it's like to have and actually feel what it's like to have the diabetes.
It's like, and I try to tell, my husband, it's going into fight or flight.
Yes.
And it's constantly being on the edge of that. And it's not like you're not trying to angst your anxiety up or whatever.
Right.
But, you know, you decide you don't want to eat the entire breakfast that you bolused for.
Exactly.
And you meant to grab that sip of juice from the fridge before you ran out, but your kid was asking you a question about something, you got tied up in that, you
Yes.
forgot, you went out the door, and shit, well, now you could be dropping rapidly and everything
Yes.
seems kind of like a dream. I
Right.
That's because I started having seizures with my lows, and
Oh, wow.
so yeah, it got really bad to the point that I could be, 20, 30, sit here, talk to you like this. There'd be no sweating, there'd be no shaking, there'd be no sounding like I'm drunk or what have nothing. It would be just straight talk, no problem. And I would go into the car, and before I had, because I have the Freestyle Libre 2 right now, which I
Okay.
love. I totally do. Like, I can, I don't love it now, just tell me I'm low. But I normally I love it because the Libre 2 will at least alarm you and say like low glucose or high
Right.
glucose,
Yes.
and I appreciate that.
Me
Um,
too.
you know, I, before this, I was pricking my finger. I was still doing that because unfortunately, not all of our insurances cover the same thing.
That's the one thing I wanted to say too is some of
Hmm.
this technology does exist, but people can't afford it. I
Hmm.
don't know how we were paying a mortgage payment before we got new insurance for my stuff, and that brings something else
Yeah.
up. My family suffers financially because
Mhm.
of me, because
Yep.
I need to have everything. And
You
that really
can't go
sucks.
without it.
Right. But people are. And that's the scary part. They're doing it because they don't have a choice and they're
Yep.
not given a choice and it's too expensive. And I feel blessed to be able to have both the T Slim and the Dexcom because it has changed my life drastically. I went from 15 down, I just got a 5.7, I think it was, or just, yeah. I mean, it
She's
was
talking about her A1C
so,
right now.
I'm
Uh,
sorry.
n
Yes.
No,
Yes.
no, and your A1C is like your finals grade for
Yes.
the quarter,
For your
and
last 3 months. Yep.
to give you it, so you went from a 15%, that's like, good damn!
Yes. I went from 15 down to 8. And then enter Control IQ, which is another piece of technology to our pump, which allows it the ability to increase insulin if your numbers are high and to
Right.
decrease if they feel you're going to drop low,
And it does it
just
automatically.
automatically. And this piece of technology, the software, has completely changed my life again. I mean, I feel amazing because it used to be, oh crap, I'm going over 400. Let me do something about it. Now it's like,
Yeah.
girl, you're at 175. Let's do something about it. And automatically, without me having to do anything, it gives me the correction that I need, which is amazing coming from injections and
Yeah.
pens and
Oh, yeah.
guessing and oh,
Woohoo!
yes, yes,
It's a good time. Well, I mean, it's great that you have that. In all honesty, it is. It's great that you have it because it does seem to give people a better handle on it.
it
And I
sure does.
feel that's where I'm not sure why they've made it so unaffordable to, or not even just them. Like we could call out a lot of different people in the pyramid scheme to make money
Yes.
for from the diabetics. It's bad enough that I mean, I refilled my insulin the other day. It was what, like $265
Mhm.
and it'll be that until I hit my deductible,
Yep,
and
me
then,
too.
woo woo, I'll pay whatever.
Right, and then it drops it down to what, 140
I
maybe.
exactly.
It's
It
not by
doesn't
much.
it's one of those things you're constantly paying out for one thing or the
Yes,
other. And
yes,
like so I sat down with one of my friends this past weekend and we compared just prices on things and we were jotting it all down. And the amount of money out of pocket for a Dexcom is about $500 a month
I believe it.
if you're
That's
just paying out of
crazy,
pocket.
and that's
I
just for
know that
Dexcom,
one.
right?
Right, right. That's
Yep,
just for the Dexcom,
yep,
and that's to cover the sensors and the transmitters, the 2 key pieces that you need.
yes,
And so that's that. And then for hers, she has the Tandem and she has the IQ
yep,
and what have you. And like we were talking about prices, but even it's like $300 a box for each thing, and there's 3 boxes
yes,
of things that you need,
yes,
and that's only gonna last you, I wanna say it's a month's supply.
a month's supply. So, yes,
So
you're right. So,
mm,
right there, we're at $1,500 copay a
yeah,
month to be able to have the pump and Dexcom.
I
Yeah, it's
I
crazy.
it's so stupid.
Yes,
It's when you think about the amount of complications that you can avoid. Shit, you don't have to think about it. You know.
right.
I
Yes,
know. And I mean, I didn't have as many years of like crazy. I had years of crazy. But I mean, it's and now they have this way and it's like, look, we can do all this and we can make it better and we can not have people have seizures while they're driving. We
right,
can not have these people, having to go into the hospitals because their kidneys have gone out
right.
or, they're blind or all these
Yes,
things. And they make it so incredibly unaffordable.
they do. I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you wear a CGM?
I have just the Libre
A
2,
Libra.
which
That's right. You said that.
they
Okay.
consider that a CGM, even though you have to zoom it. So that's what I call when I run it
Okay.
over and it sends. Now
Okay.
the Libre 1 was just you had the reader, you go over your arm and where your sensor is and it'll tell you your sugar. And that was all it did. So that I didn't consider a CGM because
Oh, okay.
it didn't seem continuous. It wasn't telling me
Right.
what it was. Libre
Yes.
2 will alarm you when it goes either above or
Okay.
below the parameters on what you set.
Okay.
Um, but I still have to scan it.
And do
Yeah.
you have to test? Do you still have to prick your
No,
fingers?
No, I do not have to break my
Okay.
fingers.
Okay.
So that is I the Libre 2 was like a godsend in all honesty, just because it
Right.
got to the point where I was starting to have the low feelings again because it had been a
Oh,
while since I had them,
right.
but it's still hard. I mean, it's still hard now. You think you're fine and you're like, "Oh, I'm 77 going down." Okay, great.
Yes, I know.
So you've noticed because of the way that the IQ works, you're having less lows, less
Oh my
highs.
goodness, yes. So, I mean, when my highs were high, they were really high, and when my lows were low, they were really low. So this has just been amazing, and also, like I said before, sharing this with friends or my husband is
Yeah.
helps me sometimes keep on track. Sometimes it's frustrating, like you were saying, but other
Mhm.
times it's like, okay, there are days when I want to just take this pump off. I
Mhm.
actually have named my pump is called Batman, and my
Batman.
Dexcom, my CGM is called Robin. So I there are
Nice.
nights when I wanna take Batman and hide him and just not bring him back
Yes.
for a while, and there are times when I do, and my husband works third shift up in, his office, and he's like, babe, did you hook Batman up?" "Yeah, I think I did." It's just
They are
some
not working
days.
together right now. You need to check in on
No,
that.
I
That's
right.
awesome.
So it's a lot of work, and people don't understand how much work it is just to keep yourself alive, and they don't realize how fragile. I don't know how many times I've died and come back, or been unresponsive and come back. Like, how many
Yeah.
chances do we get, you
Yeah.
know?
I mean, we're
And
definitely past the cat lives at this point.
right. Oh,
Like
yes. Completely past that.
we're working on some crazy stuff right now, but I agree with you. I mean, I will sometimes look at my meter, or even when I had the Dexcom way back in the day, and I had the Dexcom, and then you look and you see the lows that you had, and maybe you didn't hear the alarm
Yes.
before the control IQ when you didn't hear the alarm, and you would just continually go lower, and then your liver is like, "Oh, you're dying. Here, take some
Right.
sugar. You're gonna wake up at like 500. You'll be okay. No worries."
Right. We got you.
Oh God. And you'd wake up and you'd be 500
Yep.
pissed.
Yep.
But it's gotta be, it's very interesting sounding hearing more and more about the T Slim. Like
Yes.
but on the other hand, you still have to deal with the same amount of bullshit. So, okay, a ripped out tubing, a kinked cannula,
Yes.
um, scar tissue, collecting
Oh,
insulin.
yes.
Oh God, I
Yes.
hate it when that I'm not gonna lie, I
Oh,
hate it when it happens
oh,
because
yes.
you try not to, but you start to rage bolus a little because you're like,
Yes.
no, you're supposed to be coming down,
I know.
and then you're just like, oh, 6 hours later when it finally absorbs, and you're
Right.
like 20, just stumbling around the house eating everything you can reach.
Right. Oh, yeah, that's real.
Because I mean, everything tastes good when your blood sugar's low.
Everything
Like,
in the worst, just like eating something you've been saving, like something special, and you eat it on somebody or yourself, and it's
yes,
gone.
and you're just like, "Oh, I really
I'm
wanted
so
to
sorry.
savor that." And
Right?
now it's a blurred memory
Yes.
of
Yes.
sugar. It's great, thank you,
Right.
but, yeah. Yeah, my poor husband, every now and then, he'll bring home, like, some sweet treat or whatever, and he'll leave it somewhere, and I'll have a low, and it's like,
Yeah.
he's like, "I
Mm.
found the wrappers." I'm like, "It was me. I
It was
know, it
me.
was me." I was like, "Don't blame our daughter." But, yeah, I
You
mean,
know,
it takes a lot out of them. It
yeah, it definitely does.
not just the snacks that we eat and we take away.
No.
Like, it's and like I said, having the shit diagnosis that you had for 15 years.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
wrapping my head around 15
I
years.
know.
That was a
Yeah,
lot of stupid, stupid people that looked over your health care.
right? Isn't that scary?
Like, it is. I expect going into, hospitals or such and having to go, "No, I'm a type 1 diabetic," and they kinda look at you, and you're like,
Yeah.
I don't inject insulin for fun.
Right?
What do you want?" But, then it's okay, okay, you know what you're talking about because 'cause I'm sure, we've all seen it, the WebMD people that come in and
Oh, yeah.
I have purple footitis. It's stupidity. So
Yes.
I'm sure they've gotten a lot of people that have come in that have tried to diagnose themselves, but it's a blood test.
Right. I
I
know.
won't
I
calm
know.
down about that for a while. I'm not
I know.
gonna lie.
It's crazy. But
I'm
I have
glad
a
that.
little.
I'm glad that you have two beautiful kids
I
and
do.
that is great. I'm sorry for I know, I remember what it felt like when she was younger and wanted to go
Yeah.
outside and play, and
Yes.
it scared me because I thought if I fall out or something,
I know.
I'm the only one here with her.
Right.
So what are we
Yes.
gonna do? And it inhibited, I feel, my capacity to be the mom I wanted to be.
Absolutely. Yes.
And
For both.
that's very hurtful. And
Yes.
like for myself, I've had to work through therapy to come to the realization that it's not my fault. It's
Right.
I can't put the blame there.
Absolutely. I understand. I'm a therapist and I can't fix me. You know what I mean? You just it is what it is and you work through it, and I thank God had many wonderful counselors and therapists throughout this whole disease, but without that
Yes.
support it would not have gone well at all. And it's
Wow.
I think a lot of people talk about it being life changing, and
Hmm.
it really is. And
Yeah.
I don't know, I keep bringing the family into it, but
No,
like my
it's a huge
husband,
part of it.
yeah, nobody asked for this. My husband didn't ask for this, and I mean, what do you do? So it can be depressing, and you need that support. And like you were saying, the counselor, and it isn't easy.
It's one of those things. I think it's really interesting that were you a licensed mental health counselor? I'm trying to think of the acronyms that I remember. I'm
Um,
not gonna lie, that's probably
licensed clinical social worker.
okay.
So I work
So,
with kids.
I knew that one too.
Yes, I work with kids mostly. So this is
That's gotta be. It's nice to. It's nice to see somebody that how you survived the schooling of it. Now,
oh yeah.
did everything happen after you were done with the schooling, or were you fighting
Nope.
this during the schooling?
During, yeah, I had taken many
Uh,
semesters off because I was hospitalized and they didn't know what was wrong, and I couldn't go to school. And in my family, you had a reputation that you lived up to, and you did what you needed to do and go to school. And when that was put on me, it was like, I don't know, what am I doing wrong? Like, what's wrong with me? And it had nothing to do with me. Like, it's out of your
oh,
control.
wow.
So it was hard. It was really difficult, and I wouldn't want to do it again. So
I mean, I'm just trying, like, again, wrapping my mind around the fact that you're going through all this heavy, heavy schooling, this insane workload, and you
yes,
have completely, not by your own accord at all, uncontrolled diabetes. Like,
yes. And at that, when I first went into the work field, I went into DCYF in Rhode Island, and that's
mhm.
where I retired from. So I was working with kids, and I had other lives that I was responsible for, all the while not knowing what was wrong with me and why I was out of it. And half of the times going into visits and thinking, I'm just in a cloud, but that's just from the high numbers.
Crap. I
So, I
mean,
mean, it was heavy duty.
they have shown that the mental, how do I say, the ability to have full function and clear thoughts is
Yes,
greatly inhibited
yes.
when having higher blood glucose
I
readings.
totally agree. It's
I
real.
mean, I'm not saying that's why I was a crappy student, but I'm not saying it's not why. So,
Hey, use it.
but I mean, of course, now they're going to see it and they're going to go, look, she's a psychologist. But you're badass. I mean, you are. It had to be absolute hell. And how, like, okay, so after you finally got diagnosed type 1, uh,
Yes.
when the first time you got your sugars down in normal range, did you feel like you were dying?
I did not feel good at all. I was like, "Oh my god, like, what are they doing to me?" And it did not feel good because I was so used to
Yeah.
functioning up here that when I was where I was supposed to be, I didn't know what was going on, so it was difficult.
It
For you
was
too?
Yeah, it was like the worst low ever. I mean, of course it wasn't. I've had many worse than that. But I just
It
remember
feels it.
feeling like, yeah, you're sitting there and you're like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna die." Like, and I can't move any of my limbs, and I'm going to die, and all I need to do is eat, but everything is too far away, and I'm gonna die.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I couldn't believe how weird it felt to be normal
I
at that
know.
point. And it was like, it's gonna have to get better, right? Like
Yes,
there's gonna have to be a time where it doesn't feel like this.
I
Did you
know.
go through a honeymoon period at all after they started treating you properly for your diabetes?
I honestly don't remember going through a honeymoon period because Uh, yeah, I'm not sure. I think I did when I first went on the pump because I was on about 300 units of Levemir and another insulin a day, and I had gone down to about 250. So, and then it went down from there to the point where they were like, "Oh, do you even need insulin?" And then it
We're not
happened
going through
again.
this back and forth again.
Right, right. So then it was okay, yeah, this is functioning properly and I'm back up. So I guess I did go through a honeymoon. I just never thought about it like that.
Well, I mean, okay, so everybody's honeymoon is kind of different, where they go through that almost like you don't need insulin. You can pretty
Yes.
much go back to it. Some people have other things. I woke up with perfect eyesight. Just woke up, popped my eyes open, and I was like, I can see everything. And it was
Oh my
great.
gosh.
It only lasted
That's
for like a week.
amazing.
It was only a week,
Oh,
but it was a great week. It was a
that was
week
a
that I was like,
tease.
ah. But yeah, no, it was totally like the honeymoon, like just gone. I see your diabetes as a little bit more of a ratchety, grumpy. I should have been married before this,
I love it. Yeah.
but was wrongly diagnosed. But I should have been married way before this. So you bastard better do something nice.
I
That's
love
kind of
it.
how I see your diabetes.
I
I'm
think
not
you're
gonna
right
lie.
on. You're dead on.
We have to laugh about it. In all
Oh,
honesty,
absolutely.
like that's why, for the many reasons that this channel was started. Because if you just rely on living your diabetes around your doctor, or your pharmacist, and stupid commercials, um,
Right.
it can wear on you. I mean, you
Absolutely.
there's burnout, and diabetes burnout
And
is
there.
something, oh god, and it's rough.
Oh, it's
It's
bad.
it's hard to get out of because you don't wanna take care of yourself, and the more you don't take care of yourself, the worse you feel, the more you don't wanna,
Yes,
and it's like that vicious cycle.
it is, yes, and that is just definitely a real feeling because not that long ago, I was in the same position, and it's just sometimes you just wanna just drift off in a low and just, close your eyes because it's going to start all over again. And I think what people don't understand is, great, you wake up at 100 feet on the floor. It requires 2 units of insulin just to put your body upright. A
Yep.
cup of coffee, well, it has caffeine in it, so you're not going to bolus correctly. You're going to add another one. So it's things like this. And then by the time you could be sky high and then down again. And it's just such a roller coaster of emotions. And that roller coaster takes its toll on your body, and you're tired. And not everybody remembers that. They understand that you have the diabetes. They know that you're going through something. But when you
Mhm.
snap back and you're cranky because you just had a really shitty day, and
Yeah.
they're like, wow, what did I do? Well, nothing. Like, I'm sorry, I can't help it. And that's what people don't get. There's just so much more to it than food that goes into your mouth. Exercise, if I want to go out and I want to exercise, I have to be at least at 230,
Mhm.
which is way above average, to go out and
Yeah.
exercise, because the exercise I like to do uses up so many calories and carbs that it drops me low every time. So now I'm like,
What
why
kind of
bother?
exercise do you like to
Right?
do?
Oh, I got a pole. I like exercising on the
Oh,
pole.
look at you.
Oh, it's
Okay.
fun. Tell you,
I
it
am lucky I can walk
head to
upright
toe.
and sort of walk in a straight line. Good Lord, I couldn't.
I got
Mm-mm.
bored during COVID and I needed some toning, and I just had fun and was like, fuck it, I'm going to do something for me.
Go
And
on with your J-Lo
it,
self. Shit.
so if I'm really, really high, my numbers are high, my friends or my husband would be like, go work out because it'll bring you down. Or go have sex because you're going to be at a certain number for that too. Because otherwise you're going to be blaring in the middle of it. And it's like, well, hello, there's another cock block. That man's now a cock block. Seriously, it's like, oh, it's everything.
Oh my God.
But
I
like you said, you have to
it's
laugh. You
you
have to
do.
laugh, because otherwise I would just go jump off a bridge.
Yeah, it just gets to be too much. It weighs on everything with the mental
Yes.
and the emotional and yeah, exactly. The physical.
Right?
And I mean, how long have we been hearing about next 5 years there'll be a cure?
Oh, yeah, okay.
I'm
Yeah,
so
for
over
35
that.
years. I've heard that for 35 years.
It's one of those I don't understand why they just can't say it like it is. Like, listen,
Right.
it's
It's
gonna
not
be
happening.
needles. It's gonna be
Yeah,
something awful.
right?
We can grow an ear on the back of a mouse.
But yeah,
Your pancreas.
right.
I'm
Yeah.
jaded, absolutely
Me
jaded
too.
by it. Well, I mean, how what else have you done, like, other than syringes and pens, have you tried is this the only pump you said you've ever had?
Yes, this is the only one that I've ever had. I've always done, when I had my daughter in 94, it was old school injections. And oh my goodness, if I had to inject while I was out, I actually had the police called on me in a parking lot of a grocery store because I was shooting up with my insulin in the car. And
No.
I had thank God I had my vial of insulin. They found me in the store and they like, we got a question. I mean, come on, it's just ludicrous. So I've done
Yes.
the injections with regular needles, with pens. I've done all the type 2 diabetes medications. I've done
Mhm.
Traceba and
I
Jardiance.
like
And
Traceba. Traceba's a long-acting
yes,
insulin, and
yes,
I like Traceba, but I use it, of course, with normal fast-acting because my healthcare people weren't insane. You're
right.
gonna have to get your old healthcare people on the phone and just be like,
Oh,
"What in the hell are
right.
y'all thinking?"
That's crazy.
It's a blood test. It's a blood test.
I
That's
know.
what I'm gonna label this episode. It's a blood test. It's
I love
a
it.
blood
That's
test.
great.
But I mean, so it sounds like, other than the misconception because of the ups and downs for the 15 years that you weren't being treated, your family has been a good support for you.
Yeah, they've been amazing. My kids are older. My youngest is 17, and He's always, "Mom, do you need juice? Mom, do you need this?" And I mean, he's such a good kid, but it's just sad that he has to think about all that, you know?
Yeah.
But I do have the support, and I'm so lucky to have that support. And sometimes it's frustrating because I'm being reminded of everything, but at the same time, they love me and they want to see me here. So I can't argue with that.
It's one of those things, yeah, it gets annoying, but you can't argue against the love
Right.
and just hey, we wanna make sure you're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
husband, if I don't answer the phone when he calls in the morning, doesn't matter what I'm doing, like,
Yep.
he's like, "You have to answer, I start to
Yes.
freak out, da, da, da,"
Yes.
and it's like, "Oh, you're right, you're
Uh-huh.
right."
I know, but I get it from what they're saying. But on our end, it's like, I just
Something
needed a
else
break.
yelling and demanding the
I
attention
know.
from the blood sugar to this to
Yes.
that. And I mean, God, when everything was talking about how, oh, well, everything's going to shut down and all the shipping is going to shut down. And I'm like, well,
Oh, yes. I was freaking about that.
it's hard. And hearing, how you did syringes and everything like that, even just trying to fall back on the math is a pain in the butt.
Oh my
Because
goodness,
you don't
yes.
have to do like, so I really don't have to do as much anymore because of
That's
apps
awesome.
and everything like that,
Yes,
that you don't have to figure it out. But I
right.
mean, I remember sitting down, grabbing a napkin and pen and
Yep.
doing longhand
Old school
when
longhand.
exactly, none of this
Yep.
array bullshit. And but
Yeah.
just like, okay, I got to sit down, I got to figure out what I need to take for my correction, adding to what I need to take for what I'm going to eat, and blah blah blah.
Right.
And I I applaud all the ways that we've put the calculator in the machine now. But at
Yes,
the
I
same time,
agree.
I'm like, how many people would remember or know how to do that correctly? Like, I
Oh,
think
yeah.
every now and then there should be a brush up. Like every now
Yes.
and then everybody deserves a little vacation, a pump
Yes.
vacation, if you
Yes,
will.
I agree. I
And I
like that
mean,
idea.
naked showers are best. For those of you who don't know, naked
Oh,
showers are when you wear no machinery. You
yes.
have nothing in you that you're going to catch on a towel or
Oh,
a corner in your shower with the
yes.
loofah, with the soap, with the whatever. It's a
See,
beautiful thing.
naked shower. People don't understand how amazing
No.
it is to take a shower and not have to remember all of your sites that you're not going to hit it while you're
Exactly.
washing.
I can't rub this
I
one too
love
much because
it.
the adhesive's coming up and it's just
Yes,
gonna bloop if I get too much water underneath it, and blah, 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 blah. And
that's
then
why I
everybody
love
gets
it.
out of the shower and they're like, woohoo, I'm free. And it's like, well, okay, right now I'm wrapping myself up in a towel so I can get everything dry so I can hook up everything back in again to
I
make sure I don't lay
know.
down, fall asleep, and then wake up, in this five,
Right?
600s.
Yes.
It's the
I know.
little
I've done
things.
that. I've done that
I've
a
done that
few
too.
times. Yeah, that's not fun.
No, no. And I mean, I think we all have those crazy stories where it's like you thought you brought the right insulin, but you really brought the long acting and not the short acting.
Yes.
Or I've left the house before with absolutely no insulin on me because I'm not thinking about it. So it's
Yeah,
like do do do
exactly.
do 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 do, and then you're like, oh,
Uh-oh.
I gotta turn around. I
Right.
turn
Oh,
around.
that sucks.
You
Now
know.
it's insulin, mask,
Oh
phone,
my god.
pocketbook, keys, something
Whatever.
else to
I
add
love
to
this
it.
6 feet away from each other. Can we just keep
I
that?
I love social distancing.
Like, yeah, can we just not have you up in
I'm
my
good with
personal
that.
bubble and
That's
just keep you over there and we'll be fine? We've
I agree.
proven everybody knows how to move in a line. We could do this.
Right. Well, if you look at elementary school, I'm not sure we ever learned how to form a line. You know,
I
just
agree,
saying,
but who knew that adults were going to need a PSA on washing their hands in
right?
2020?
Oh my
So,
gosh.
I mean,
Yes, that's crazy.
I want to be hateful and be like, oh, it was all the guys. But no, I saw a lot of girls going, What?
Yep.
You're just like,
Yep.
I'm not
Oh,
gonna touch what you touch now.
yeah. I'm
Mm-mm.
all set with going there.
But I mean, COVID has thrown another wrench into the never ending goings on of our lives.
Oh,
You
absolutely.
know,
It brings up so much more crazy stuff that we have to think about, and vaccines and
well, I mean, you
uh,
figure we're so scared because of the of some healthcare providers' inability to do a blood test, but also to, they're not understanding of it. And it's like then you're
right.
like, holy shit, I could be hospitalized on a respirator and
Yeah.
have to hope that my blood sugar's being controlled.
Right? Yeah.
Mm-mm,
Yeah.
mm-mm. That's
I
not how I want to get neuropathy. If I'm gonna get
no.
it, I'm gonna get it from donuts.
I was
Like,
gonna get it from eating something good.
exactly. I'm not gonna get it for some, no, 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 no.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. But I mean, I'm glad that you have that support and that humor behind it
You
because
have to.
yeah, and it helps others. I mean, I've met a lot of recently diagnosed diabetics in the last like 5 years, a lot more than I had ever met in the 21 years of having this.
Yep.
And I'm surprised at still how far we still haven't come with
Yes.
the mindset where we need to be. I mean, the fact that Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation is still juvenile diabetes. It's like, could
Right.
we could we move
It's
past that?
exactly. I agree.
It's
I agree with
it's in
that
our
completely.
pancreas
It's
hated us
exactly.
and wanted to sit out the 5%. So ha ha, you get
Right.
needles. I mean, it shouldn't be that hard to rename.
No,
Come
it
on.
definitely shouldn't be.
And I'm surprised that nobody, like, did they try to call you a latent adult onset of
Oh, yeah.
1.5? Did they
Yes.
try to call you a
Yes.
type 1.5? Oh,
Yep, they did. They
so
did,
many
and
points of it.
I don't even know. I know I'm 1 now, but I don't know how I got here. I'm just glad I did finally get the diagnosis I needed because as a type 2, I wasn't allowed to get a pump. Nobody would pay for it. So that
Yeah.
was gonna be a, $5 to $10,000
Uh,
expense for me. I couldn't afford that. So as soon as they diagnosed me with type 1, it was like, "Okay, pump, let's go." This should have happened years ago.
yeah, you should have been given a prescription for insulin and a
I
diagnosis for type 1.
know.
Let me tell
And
you, there would be mean letters. I would be the Karen showing up at the office being, "Excuse me." But
I
I
had to
mean,
move
what
on.
so 20 years ago, so those doctors are probably retired
They're
or
gone.
or
Yes.
dead.
Yep. Yeah, after what they did to me, I hope they're gone and dead.
We can do a seance. We can bring these doctors in
Let's
our
do it.
little
I
thing
love
and
it.
curse them to damnation. Because yeah, that's some craziness. So I mean, I'm glad to hear A1C that you're rocking is so awesome right now.
Yeah.
And I mean, and it's not okay. So before I say this, how big are you on doing the crazy diets? And I don't mean to call them crazy. That's not nice. But
Um,
like, do you eat like a normal human being?
I do because for years the doctors told me you have to change your eating habits. You have to do this, and I'm a healthy eater. I eat
Hmm.
clean. I eat healthy, and I finally, once I was diagnosed as type 1, given the pump, my doctor's like, "You're 40 years old. I'm not going to change your eating habits. Whatever goes in your mouth, just bolus for it. So I'm not going to try to change you." And let me tell you, that man
Hmm.
is amazing. I
Yeah,
absolutely love him. And he changed my life with the pump and the eating. And he just, it's not a disease that fits every person the same. It is so
absolutely.
unique to every person. I mean, it's just, you can't treat everybody the same. So I loved his style, and that's why I've stayed with him. But that said, with
Hmm.
with all of the misdiagnosis, I
Mhm,
have also gotten neuropathy. I have also gotten gastroparesis. 8
mhm.
years ago in the summertime, I it was like April, I lost 50 pounds in 3 months because I couldn't eat and they couldn't figure out what was wrong, and that's the other thing, like, I had to eat, and I was constantly at the emergency room because I couldn't eat, and then I would drop low. It was just a nightmare. So it was a good 8 months before they even figured out what was wrong. After losing 50 pounds, I put back on, but
Well, that's
after losing,
COVID weight.
it's
We have till
I
2022
love
with
it.
this weight,
Yes.
so
Yes.
but I mean, okay, so you were dropping it because I mean, I remember before I did anything about my gastroparesis, it was the same thing.
Yes.
It was
Yes.
constant vomiting for me, like
Yes.
constant vomiting.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And I mean, you make jokes or whatever, but it's not something that, you're intentionally trying to do.
Right.
It's just
Yes,
you're constantly, and for those viewers who don't know, gastroparesis is when the nerves basically in your stomach don't tell it to empty. And so what happens is the food stays in your stomach. It makes you feel nauseous. You constantly feel full. You're not
bloated.
absorbing the nutrients that you're eating. It's awful, 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 and gross. And yeah, that's another wonderful thing that comes from
I
diabetes.
know. Well, they actually have something, my endo wanted me to have something called a gastric, pacemaker, and they go yeah, it's crazy, but it's so new, my insurance won't pay for it, so you're talking tens of thousands of dollars, but it's actually a plate pacemaker, like, they put up in your heart.
Uh
They
huh.
attach it to your intestines, and it
Okay.
moves the muscles, it stimulates the muscles in your intestines, and it moves the food through your stomach, so you don't have that fullness and all of
Wow.
that from there, but they're doing it, but nobody can afford it. Like, I
Yeah.
can't afford that amount of
No,
money.
all
It
you
would
can
be a game
afford is
changer for me, but
yeah, no, all you can afford is the 4 to 6 pills that give you an innumerable amount of side effects
yes,
and completely screw your day over every time you take
yes,
them. Yeah,
yes.
no, can't
Mhm.
afford a very simple, I would say simple, but I don't know. I'm going to look more into it though, I tell you what,
Yes, yes.
because I have been paying insurance long enough. I'm sorry. We need to fight for
Right,
what needs to be done. And
exactly.
there's no reason that we should constantly be vomiting, constantly have the problem of insulin absorption or too much going
Right,
too low because you can't keep anything down. Or I don't
right.
know about you, but I started having to have like root canals and I took care of my teeth and it was from the
Yeah.
vomiting.
That didn't happen to me.
Oh,
I'm
you're so
surprised
lucky.
it didn't because,
So lucky.
it was that was all I did was
Yeah.
vomit,
No,
you
same
know?
thing. Absolutely
Yeah.
same thing. I lost so much weight. They did the stupid endoscopy
Yes.
and results came back what am I trying to say?
Inconclusive.
Inconclusive. There you go. See, there was the word. But it was just kind of like, come on. I mean,
Right,
there's obviously something wrong. I'm sorry it wasn't there when you tested me,
right.
but
Yes,
that doesn't stop me from vomiting constantly.
right.
So,
And the other thing,
yay.
though, is that I know has helped me, and I'm not even sure I can talk about it here, but medical marijuana.
I have
My
no problem talking about medical marijuana. I think it's something that needs to be done in all of the
yes,
US.
my endocrinologist recommended me to start using it, and it has such a stigma to it. I put it off for years and years. I wanted
Mhm.
nothing to do with it, and I was like, "No,
Mhm.
it's taboo," and it's not. Well, let me tell you, when I get up in the morning, if I'm gonna take some of a tincture of an oil or something, I
Mhm.
can't eat until I do that because of the gastroparesis, because you're so nauseous.
Yep.
You can't eat, and with the neuropathy and with all of the other side effects, like, I've gotten off of so many pain pills that they've thrown at me and
Yes.
used just the cannabis, and it's just been amazing. So there's been so many life changes with this doctor. I'm just so glad that I found him.
Having a good support system in home is you can't even describe how important it is. But having somebody who knows their stuff, is willing to fight for you, is willing to get you to try new things to make your situation better, it
Right.
makes the difference between a lot of problems that unfortunately a lot of people face. And I mean, that people in our position who end up in DKA, and don't want to push on talking about it a lot, but you have just suffered through
Yes.
DKA.
Uh-huh.
And
I have. That was not pretty.
no, and I mean, I've had it before, and you feel like you're dying, and
Yes.
you there's nothing in the world that you just sit there and you think, how have I been poisoned? Like,
Yes.
did something happen that I should know about?
Yes, it's an indescribable feeling. For somebody who hasn't felt it, it's not describable.
It's you're constantly vomiting. It was constant pain,
Oh, the
and
pain is
the
awful.
sugars were so high, no
Yes.
matter what. So you would drink water to try to ease yourself a little bit, and then you'd vomit that up, and it was just a cycle. You have to go to the hospital. Most
Yep.
times you have to go to the
Yep.
hospital, have
Yep.
to get IV fluids, and then just wait until they tell you that you're done and you can go home. And that, on your way
Right.
out, it's only going to be $2,000. Like,
Yeah, that's
no
it.
worries.
Right? Yep.
Oh my God. Well, it's been super fun having you on. You
Thank you
have
so much. I had so much fun.
You have the misdiagnosis story of so far of what, like 23 episodes? Holy hell, woman. I mean, they're lucky. They're lucky
Well,
that we can't throw a seance and bring their asses back and slap them around a little bit.
right. Well, hopefully, me going through this means that somebody else doesn't have to. And that's like big for me, is trying to pave the way for the others behind. So,
Exactly. We can only try to make it better for
yes.
others and to share our experiences. And before I let you go, I like to end all my interviews with asking, what is the craziest thing that you have ever heard that will cure your diabetes?
Oh my goodness. The craziest thing.
We've heard cinnamon, we've
Yes.
heard okra water,
Oh my goodness.
pumpkin
Okay.
seeds.
Have you heard apples yet? Um,
No.
okay, well, we were told at the apple orchard years ago, probably 3 or 4 years ago, that if I were to eat fresh apples, like a bushel of them, that it would just cure my diabetes because of I wasn't allowed to wash them. They have to be fresh picked from the tree and raw, but it would
So
cure
under
my
the pale
diabetes.
moonlight of the seventh moon of the
Uh,
12th star.
right? I think
Wow,
so.
that's
So eat your apples because an apple a day will
keeps
keep
the
the endo
diabetes
away.
away.
Yes.
I love it. All right, Brooke, you have a wonderful night, and thank
Thank
you
you so
again.
much. Michelle, you too.
To all of the viewers, thank you again for tuning in. You know how much we love it. Click the like, the subscribe, the whichever way it is, click it and tune in, because I mean we're kind of fucking funny. So
Yeah, we are.
bye.
Bye.